I was called to share a little bit on human rights, specific to the 2 SDGs. And when I sat listening to all the groups present, I think they made my work easier. However, I was picking a few things that I felt I would seek clarification. And one that was immediate is that we are talking from a point of not facts. And I don't want to say it's hearsay, but it's our experiences. Sindio? However factual they may be, they cannot withstand when you're talking to decision makers. Siyo tunajua? That decision makers, even when they live in the neighborhood, they tend to pretend they don't know or they are not seeing until you present facts to them. And when I sent group work, I remember the first question was, how many facilities, how many schools are in your location or where you come from? The only place I have heard that has a hospital is Mount Elgon. Has one health facility. The rest, either they have few or they have many. Few is which number? Ebu show me few. We know one inakaa hivi, si ndio? How many are these?
2, 3, 5, 6.
Can somebody show me how few looks like? You can do that in your mother tongue. Few. How's few in Mount Elgon? Nionyeshe few. Nimekuonyesha hii ni moja. Few inakaaje?
Obstruct.
A few inakaa hivi. That is how few looks like when you go to Sengwer. How does few look like when you get to Endorois? Endorois, their few looks like that. Please stand up and show. Wewe. Simama utuonyeshe few vile inafanana. Ogiek wa Mount Elgon, few looks like how? Au hata hawajui. Ogiek wa Mau, few looks like how? How hawajui. Can somebody show me many? If you have many schools, you have many hospitals. Many looks like how? Yet, we are saying we are ethnic minorities, sindio? Something that binds us together is the fact that we are ethnic minorities. But when we are describing our issues, we have a difference. For some people who are ethnic minorities, few looks like this. For others like this. For others whichever way. And this becomes our first entry point in terms of communicating. If we are saying we are ethnic minorities, can we speak in one language? Not mother tongue. Obviously, we can't speak in the same mother tongue, but one language on issues. And today, because we are focusing on SDG 3 and 4, then we need to start clearly communicating what is happening. How many schools do we have? How far are they from where we live? When we say women, pregnant mothers cannot access antenatal facilities. Where is that lady from Mount Elgon? Ametoka? Yes. When you are telling us mothers cannot access both antenatal and postnatal care, what does that look like? Because if you can't explain it, To someone who is not an ethnic minority, someone who has never been to Mount Elgon, they might never be to Mount Elgon. If you cannot explain that in a language that they understand, then we will meet here next year, same time, and still talk of few, talk of many, talk of far, or little. So when I asked how many schools, and I even went further to ask that you list how many ECD classes are there, how many primary schools, how many secondary schools, how many tertiary, that never came out. And I didn't get your name. When Annie spoke, she said that we have graduates who do not have employment. I was asking myself, how many graduates are we talking about from ethnic minorities? Because if we do not start showing people the numbers that we are talking about, then they will never see sense in bringing more schools, bringing more hospitals. They only see value in us when it comes to votes. In fact, if you were to ask them, they know exactly how many votes are in Mount Elgon, Endorois, be it ni Endorois, Wanarok, Wawapi, they know how many votes. But convert those votes into how many schools would those votes require? Nobody understands that language. And that's why I'm saying that becomes our responsibility. The last bit about the exercise, which I was hoping to get, is the actions that we are going to undertake. Because part of what we should be discussing in the next 2 days is how to build a strong movement. And movements are led by issues, movements are led by people, movements are led by actions. So what do we do in the short term, mid-term, and long term? And I was listening to groups that were still saying the government needs to bring more or build more schools. The government needs to allocate budgets. The government needs to employ teachers. The government needs to... Why should a government employ teachers if we have graduates who do not have jobs? And what are we doing with those graduates, or what are we doing with the government to start understanding that we have the human resource? Those graduates, we have them. And we don't have teachers. And the graduates don't have jobs. And it is the work of the government to make sure that schools have teachers, schools have facilities. So what are we able to do? Those were some of the things I was expecting to hear. I'm not saying you didn't do a good job. You did a very good job to just give a picture of how things are. The last group, which my sister presented, has given a totally different picture, because all of us, the first 3 groups, kept on saying it's like things have not changed. But we started getting a different picture, that yes, they were bad, but there is some improvement. Again, that improvement can only be measured by facts. Sawa? And facts here, we need to constantly do studies to establish what is happening within our communities. Our way of life, nani anaelewa kutuliko? Kuna mtu anaelewa your way of life than yourself? So would you still wait for people to come and do studies, or you can do those studies? Do we wait for people to come and make us subjects? You know, when you are a subject, mimi nitakuja ni kustadi niende nipeane haba? Na hiyo story ishie hapo. Lakini wewe mwenyewe ukijistudy, nia yako ya kujistudy ni nini?
Uanze kusolve hizo issues uko nazo.
Ujielewe na uanze kujua vile utasolve hizo problems. Okay? So those things we are saying the government should, they will not do unless we show them why they must do it. And over lunch hour, I was sharing with John and telling him how happy I am because for the first time, I'm meeting young girls that I have not met previously. Previously, nimekuwa nikikutana na kina mama.
We are changing.
Surely SDGs are changing. Because my journey with OPDP has been a journey of fathers and mothers. But this is 2021 because I'm meeting young girls and young men. And of course, fathers and mothers who need to hold our hands. And let me say this. If you young girls and young men from these communities do not take charge and start changing things, your children will be standing where I am telling the same story. Na unajua your children, I will be long dead. Imagine mtoto wako ambaye hauna, akiwa amesimama hapa, anaambia jamii yako ile kitu ninakwambia sahi. Isn't that a sad story? So change has to begin with you. So next time I'm coming, I would want to see you, but I want to hear you telling stories of what has changed because of what you've been able to do. As a person and as a group. Because by the end of tomorrow, we hope to leave this place with a very strong movement led by young people who will be championing those things mumesimama hapa mukatuambia they are wrong. And you know very well, those targets have timelines. Sindio? When are the timelines? 2030. So we have how many more years? 9 more years. 9 or 8. So when we are leaving here tomorrow, we should be clear what we are able to do in the next 1 year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years. So that on the 6th year that is remaining, we can comfortably look back and say, because of what we've done in the last 2, 3, 4 years, this is the change within our community. So there is government that we need to reach out to, but there's also what we need to do. And the what we need to do starts now. So when we are having these conversations, find yourself somewhere within the conversation and ask yourself, what do I need to do? Number 2, who do I do it with? Mimi nitafanya nini? Nitafanya na nani? Those 2. If you're able to answer those 2, then starting tomorrow,